notify the Homeland Security and the FBI and everybody and do an audit on this guy because he put cash in the bank. Now you're taking the cash out in a smaller amount, and that's suspicious too. Using any excuse they can to take your money. Now, this announcement was made at a meeting. It was a conference by an organization called the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, and the ACAMS. And this is where an assistant attorney general went to make this announcement about the $5,000. And one of the things he was also talking about there, and I thought it was kind of interesting that there's an entire industry that has come up to watch people putting money into the bank and taking money out of the bank. Are we like East German Stasi society here? I mean, that's what this has turned into. We have an entire industry, people making a living being snitches, looking at anti-money laundering. And of course, they're not doing a very good job of it for the big banks. They have taken cash away from a lot of innocent people who are not involved in any criminal activity. They put people in jail. But, you know, when HSBC does it and launders money for drug organizations, drug cartels, or for terrorist groups, they get a slap on the hand. It was just a few weeks' profits that they were fined. Nobody went to jail. And they even set up an organization. We had Everett Stern, who was one of the people that worked for them after they were put on probation. They created a new anti-money laundering department. They added a lot more warm bodies, but he testified that and alleged that they were not training anybody. He even went further. He said that they were taking their keyword search that would identify certain suspicious organizations, certain drug cartels, certain terrorist organizations, and they were putting spaces and periods in there so that they wouldn't get a match. That's what Everett Stern alleged when he blew the whistle on HSBC. But, you know, it is something that we're seeing a pushback again at the state level. Nobody has a problem with it, it seems like, at the federal level, except for Rand Paul and a few who have come up with a piece of legislation called actually, that's the careers is actually for marijuana, but they've actually come up with something, I forget the name of the legislation. They would stop this kind of confiscation of equipment, of personal inanimate objects, charging them with the crime. That is the heart of civil asset forfeiture. We also see a pushback at the state level, and we had the Wyoming legislature come in, and just like we saw with this bill to push back the militarization of the police in New Jersey, it was also passed in Wyoming, and yet the governor there vetoed them stopping the civil asset forfeiture program. He said, no, that is a right. In other words, the government has rights, but you don't have property rights. That's what that governor is saying. He also said crime should not pay, especially drug crime. But actually what he was doing was stealing from people and saying that they could get away with it. So we see that this is also coming up in New Mexico. In New Mexico, it was unanimously passed by both the House and the Senate, but the governor there is strangely quiet, as people have reported, not saying whether or not she is going to sign this legislation that would stop civil asset forfeiture. It's a novel idea that we should be found guilty of a crime before they confiscate our property. It's an idea that goes all the way back to the beginning of the kinds of rule of law and respect for individual freedom. Goes back several hundred years. It goes back to Runnymede, to those kinds of rights to establish trial by jury, to establish the presumption of innocence, to make sure that people are not given excessive fines, to make sure that they don't have their property taken, that they're not put in jail for things that are not that are not crimes. And that's what we see happening with civil asset forfeiture. But I think one of the things that really concerns me, and of course we're seeing this happen at in multiple states. We see some good moves towards shutting down prohibition. Understand that prohibition now, as it exists, is 80% targeted towards marijuana. That a large part of this is targeted towards people who are not violent. But they're put in jail for a mandatory minimum period of time, thanks to the Ronald Reagan administration. Something we didn't even do with alcohol prohibition. And as I pointed out earlier, it seems to me like Republicans could understand that property rights are fundamental to you being a free person. Republicans are all about property rights. And yet they have enabled this civil asset forfeiture to go on and destroy property rights in the name of the failed war on drugs. Do you understand this has been going on for over 40 years? Do you understand this had its roots in the UN? 10 years before Nixon declared the war on drugs, 10 years before we had our 4 different schedules, we had the UN come in with exactly that same legislation, just like they do with Agenda 21, with many other issues like gun control. They create an agenda and then they wait for the individual states to enact it into law. And that's what we did here in this country. We even took the same drugs and put them on the same schedules. And of course, we have the idea that marijuana has no medical uses, so therefore it is a Schedule I drug. That is the legislation that Rand Paul is talking about in terms of taking it off of a Schedule I drug. He has 2 Democrat co-sponsors with that. That would have huge implications. That would even make it available for you to get some help financially when you take that drug. But it would recognize an obvious fact that it has real medical uses. We're going to talk about that when we come back.
This hour of GCN brought to you by LeSig, the highest quality smokeless cigarettes, e-liquids, e-cig refills, car chargers, and starter kits. Kick some ash with LeSig. Call 870-525-1440 or visit lesig.com.
Hi, Ted Anderson with Midas Resources. Is it time to convert paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver yet? Get our 10 Reasons book free. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
There are hundreds of silver products on the market today, but there's nothing like the astonishing health benefits of the multi-patented One Silver Solution. Boost your immune system at a great price with our Silver Solution liquid in regular and extra strength. Our silver soap, made with all natural organic ingredients, leaves your skin clean and refreshed. Call 844-USE-SILVER for your free catalog. 844-USE-SILVER. Or go to onesilversolution.com. Onesilversolution.com. There is only one silver solution.
Hey, Boomer! I learned in school today that 60% of our bodies are made of water. Good thing we have the Berkey system. It's the cleanest, best water ever. Mom says it's because the Berkey's filtration system cleans out the bad stuff and leaves only pure, delicious water. I know, right? You love it too. Yeah, I'm thirsty too. Let's go get some. Get Berkey clean water by calling 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653. Or visit goberkey.com.
Last year, in the Nevada desert, one family took a stand for freedom. Numanna Food Storage was the first and only company to support the rights of the Bundys. While others stood down, Numanna took donations and provided storable foods to the men at Bunkerville. Founded by patriots who believe in liberty, Numanna Food Storage is GMO-free, great-tasting, and easy to prepare. Food is freedom. Buy Numanna today at PowerPrepper.com. Numanna Food Storage you'll love to eat at PowerPrepper.com.
Hi, folks. Alex Jones here with some important information. I want to tell you about Matt Redhawk and his team of patriots over at My Patriot Supply. Several years ago, Matt was sitting in his 2-bedroom apartment, frustrated with the direction this country was headed and the charlatans willing to sell us out for a quick buck. Deciding to take action, a company run by patriots for patriots was born. My Patriot Supply has never taken a loan or accepted outside funding. They now operate 2 distribution facilities and employ over 50 hardworking American men and women. It is rare to find companies who practice what they preach. And that's why I stock my pantry with high-quality storable foods from My Patriot Supply. Go to mypatriotsupply.com/Alex today for special offers on emergency food storage, or call their preparedness specialist at 866-229-0927. That's 866-229-0927. Do business with someone who shares your values. mypatriotsupply.com/Alex.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host. We're going to be talking to Gerald Celente in the next hour, especially about the move by Saudi Arabia into Yemen. The consequences of that are very broad. We're going to talk to Gerald Celente about that. Before I get back to what's happened in North Carolina with medical marijuana, I just want to let you know that we have a new product. Of course, we've been talking about Winter Sun, Vitamin D3. It's the latest InfoWars Life formulation. We have just introduced that, but it's selling very rapidly. It will sell out pretty soon with this first run. You get a liquid vitamin D3. It's not the synthetic D2. You get D3 that contains a powerful 2,000 international units per single dose. We know that vitamin D is essential for everything from bone health to boosting the immune system and maintaining muscle strength. And remember that just because it's not winter anymore, most people are not getting much sunlight. Even those who are out and getting sun are not producing the levels of vitamin D in many cases that they need because of nutritional deficiencies. So you can get your D3 at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Now, it was brought to my attention. I have a friend in North Carolina that has a news aggregation site, kind of like the Drudge Report, but just focusing on state issues. And it was brought to my attention that medical marijuana was just recently shot down. It was a very rough fight, actually. People got very angry about it. And I think they should. I think you should get angry about it because you need to understand that as we get angry about the government taking away our informed consent and saying, no, we're going to shoot you up with a vaccine whether you agree with that or not, whether we have your consent or not, whether we give you any information about it or not, whether we give the vaccine pharmaceutical companies legal immunity in a vaccine court or not. If they have legal immunity, if they need legal immunity, doesn't that tell you something about the danger of the vaccines, that they had to create the vaccine court in order to protect the pharmaceutical companies? Anyway, if they can mandate vaccines, they can also prohibit you from taking medicine that you want to take. See, that's the flip side of both of these things. And that's really what's going on with medical marijuana. Now, I talked on the InfoWars, actually it was on the radio. We talked to David Strickland here in Texas, a very compassionate Christian who made a Christian argument for legalizing marijuana. He talked about people in his district who are suffering horribly. One of them was a child who'd been damaged by vaccines. The other people who got the batch of vaccines died. This child has suffered with seizures all their life. The only way they could get any relief, the only thing that ever gave them any relief was medical marijuana.
That name was actually David Simpson.
Sorry, David Simpson, not David Strickland. Yes, David Simpson is the representative out of Longview, Texas. Anyway, he made a point of making a Christian argument because he understood, as we all need to understand, that many of the people who oppose this most adamantly are Christians. And at this hearing that they had in North Carolina, they had, this is something that was put up predominantly along party lines. It was Democrats who put it up and Republicans who shot it down. They say spouses of injured military veterans testified. Several people said they used marijuana to treat chronic pain or symptoms from diseases. They had an 84-year-old woman who said she had always had an active life, but she now had worn out discs in her spine, suffering from a lot of pain. Couldn't find anything that helped it. About 2 years ago, she said she rubbed cannabis-infused ointment on her back, knees, and ankles. She says, now I can walk around, I can sleep better. I don't have to use a cart to get around. So that kind of testimony was given at the legislature. And a guy who's with an organization called the Christian Action League, his name is Reverend Mark Creech, wrote an op-ed about what a rough day he had had, listening to these people and basically blowing them off as he pushed for drug prohibition. And I'm going to read you his letter when we come back. We're out of time in this segment. But I'm going to read you what he wrote about what a rough day he had. Stay with us and we'll be right back.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
InfoWars Life and InfoWarsLife.com is extremely excited to announce our latest release, Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. It is produced by extracting oil from healthy, nutrient-dense plants known as lichens. Every batch is analyzed for purity and D3 content. It's completely free of toxins and allergens. Simply put, if you want the best at an extremely low price, this is it. Winter Sun is the result of our pursuit pursuit of the best source of vitamin D3. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Not only does vitamin D3 promote a healthy mood, but vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3130.